Fast and Furious actor Paul Walker died from a combination of traumatic injuries and burns. That's the finding of the...
We have breaking news from the entertainment world now. TMZ is reporting actor Paul Walker died today in a single car.
New details this morning on the deaths of Fast and Furious star Paul Walker and his friend killed in a fiery car accident over the weekend. Investigators working right now to determine the cause of the wreck. ABC's Cecilia Vega has the story.
What are the odds that a Hollywood superstar who plays a street racer would end up passing away due to racing a sports car? Whatever the odds were, it happened to the legendary Paul Walker, the lead actor of the Fast and Furious franchise. Paul Walker lived most of his life as an actor and a car enthusiast. Paul already loved cars even before the Fast and Furious franchise. In Paul's first interview with MTV, he described himself as crazy about cars. His father and grandfather had influenced him. His father was a car enthusiast with lots of publications which Paul would read. Paul's grandfather raced for Ford in the 60s. In the same interview, he mentioned how he grew up watching street races in LA. During his teenage years, he would go around races every now and then. He mentioned how the racing scene was similar to how it was in the movies. People would race, cops would come in, and everyone watching would scatter. It was as if the Fast and Furious role found him because of his love of cars and racing. Paul Walker grew up in Sunland, Los Angeles, California. Being raised as a Christian, he graduated from Village Christian School and was an older brother to 4 younger siblings. His father was a sewer contractor and former boxer, while his mother was a model. His mother being a model, Paul began his career in front of the camera at 2 years old. Back in the 80s, he starred in commercials for Pampers, Showbiz Pizza, and he would continue working on commercials until 1984, where he appeared in a show called School Break Special. At this point, Paul started working on the television scene. Paul took supporting roles until he caught a break in TV after appearing in The Young and Restless, a soap opera and comedy drama. Paul's role in the soap opera, along with his co-star Heather Tom, gained fame and was even nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor and Actress in a soap opera. Walker's final appearance in television was on Touched by an Angel, where he, with his sister Ashley, played themselves. In 1986, Paul began his film career by appearing in B films, which are low-budget Hollywood films. He first appeared in the film scene as a character in Monster in the Closet. A year later, he was given a role in The Retaliator. He continued his career until he got his break into the movie scene in 1998, where he received a role in a feature film called Meet the Deedles. This role did not give him much fame or success, but it opened doors to supporting roles in big films like She's All That and Varsity Blues. Paul Walker made a name for himself when he got the opportunity to play the role of Brian O'Connor in The Fast and Furious. This film did not only earn him massive success and recognition, but also a brother, Vin Diesel. Avid Paul Walker fans know the deep bond that formed between the two actors. The two would grow so close that Paul's mother would refer to Vin as Paul's other half. The Fast and Furious films was so successful that it spawned into multiple movies of the same franchise, thus increasing the actor's popularity and success even more. This break established Paul Walker as more than just a comedy side character. He was fit to be the main character in the big screen. Paul was established as a leading man and a star. He would later get a shared award in 2002 with Vin Diesel, where they were given the Best On-Screen Team award. After his initial break, he scored another successful film, the thriller Joyride in 2001, which was another action film which featured cars. 2 years later, he had another chance to play Brian O'Connor in the sequel film Too Fast, Too Furious. After the sequel, he would play several low-budget roles, most notably in Timeline and Into the Blue. After 7 years, Paul Walker would be given another chance to play Brian O'Connor in yet another Fast and Furious movie. At this point, the franchise was at its peak of fame and was given enough recognition that allowed them to film a 5th and even 6th installment. During these films, Walker's acting skills would also be praised by the fans, thus emphasizing his talent and passion for acting. Apart from the aforementioned films, he would take on more roles, like in the films such as Takers. In 2011, Paul was, again, nominated for more awards for his performances in the franchise. He was nominated as Choice Movie Actor and Choice Movie Chemistry, which was a shared award with Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson. At the time, the trio was all the rage due to the thrill their scenes gave the fans. He also won a second MTV award as Best On-Screen Duo with, you guessed it, Vin Diesel. Before Paul passed away, he was working on several films, and one of which was a role he turned down. This role was Superman in Superman Returns. It was rumored that Walker didn't want to take the role because of the curse that was said to befall those who take the role of Superman. But Paul's childhood friend and double, Oakley Lehman, later revealed that the reason why Paul didn't take the role was because Walker didn't want to commit to 3 or 4 films and be considered Superman for the rest of his career. Later on in 2013, Paul would reveal that he turned down the role because he didn't need the money. Walker goes on to point out how the lifestyle he wants doesn't need much money. Thanks to Paul's choice, we got to meet Henry Cavill's Superman that we all know and love. Paul also had a daughter with Rebecca Soteros, a childhood friend who had a come-and-go relationship with him. His daughter was named Meadow Rain Walker, and she would grow up to be a philanthropist and model, just like her father. Meadow would live with her mother Rebecca for 13 years, where her mother studied and then moved in with her father afterwards. Paul Walker had his best friend and other half, Vin Diesel, be her godfather. Vin and Meadow developed a close bond. Before he died, Paul was in a relationship with Jasmine Pilchard Gosnell. As mentioned earlier, aside from Paul's passion for acting and modeling, he was also a car enthusiast and an avid racer. Paul participated in the Redline Time Attack series. He also owned a collection of around 30 cars, and some of which he shared with his friend Roger, the one he died along with in the car crash in 2013. In 2020, 21 of his prized cars were sold in an annual car auction. In the same MTV interview mentioned in this article, Paul revealed that he wasn't a fan of imported cars until the Fast and Furious franchise introduced him to it. He was always a fan of domestic cars, but gained an appreciation for imported cars from his time on the franchise. Because of Paul's acting career, many people do not know about the other things that Paul strived for. One of the most notable achievements by Paul are the result of his endeavors in philanthropy, where he managed to found a charity called Reach Out Worldwide. The humanitarian aid was founded in response to the Haiti earthquake in 2010 with the help of his financial advisor, Roger Rodas. Walker also had an interest in marine biology, which was brought by growing up in California. In 2006, he joined the board of directors of the Billfish Foundation and was able to fulfill his dream of starring in a National Geographic series, Expedition Great White, which premiered in 2010. Throughout the course of the 11-day documentary, Paul would tag 7 great white sharks along the coast of Mexico. The night before Paul's death, he attended a charity event for the victims of Super Typhoon Haiyan, which hit the Philippines. He was the founder of the organization that set up the charity event, but his goodwill was overshadowed by the news. Paul and Roger Rodas would leave for the charity event at around 3:30 p.m. back in November 30th, 2013. Rodas was driving his 2005 Porsche Carrera GT and was going somewhere in between 80 and 93 mph. This speed was way over the speed limit of the zone, which was at a low 45 mph limit. They were going through a neighborhood in Santa Clarita, California, when Rodas lost control, sending them straight into a lamppost. Within several seconds upon impact, the car caught fire. The forensics report revealed that the two friends were knocked unconscious upon impact. Evidence revealed that Roger died upon impact because of the trauma sustained, while Paul died in a span of seconds due to burns and the physical trauma. It was later revealed that the area in which the two lost control was a hotspot for drifting. Authorities have found no evidence of substance abuse, any sign of drag racing, any sign of mechanical failures, and even bad road conditions that could have been a factor to the accident. The investigations concluded that the cause of the accident was the car's speed and the poor quality of the tires. What a coincidence that an actor known for a racing movie franchise would pass away in a racing car accident. The world seemed to stop for Paul's loved ones because of this sudden, unfortunate event. These people's lives weren't the only thing that stopped. Paul's mother described what happened after he died. She mentioned wishing she didn't have to wake up or do anything at all. His brother Caleb, who has always looked up to him, was asked to fill Brian O'Connor's role as a stand-in in his movies. Caleb mentions how this role meant so much to him, as he always dreamed of becoming like his brother, but all of it was too soon, according to him. He mentions how much he got to know the second family Paul made on the set of the movie. Vin Diesel was also one of the most affected by Paul's death. In an interview, it was revealed back in 2013, Paul's mother hugged Vin Diesel and apologized, stating that Paul was Vin's other half. Even after all of these years, Vin Diesel has never failed to fulfill his role as Paul's other half, even commemorating Paul's 50th birthday. Furious 7's filming and writing also came to a halt. They opted to speak with Walker's family first to determine what to do with the film. 4 films were released after Paul Walker's death. The first one was a thriller film titled Hours in 2013, followed by Brick Mansions in 2014, and a remake of the French film District 13. While serving his roles in the aforementioned films, he also became an executive producer for the film Pawn Shop Chronicles. Furious 7. The 7th film of the Fast and Furious franchise was scheduled for 2014, but was pushed back to 2015 to make up for the time lost while dealing with Paul's passing away. During the extra year, the filmmakers dedicated their time and energy to try and bring Walker back to life, even if it was just within the film. They hired the Weta Digital Effects house of Peter Jackson to complete Paul's remaining scenes using reference materials and the likeness of Paul's brothers, Cody and Caleb. Along with the brothers, the digital effects artist also used the actor John Brotherton as stand-ins. How Peter Jackson went about the scenes is he would use existing reference materials to recreate a computer model of what Paul looks like. Even after death, Paul won the award for Choice Movie Actor and was given, again, the Choice Movie Chemistry Award for his role with his co-stars. The cast would always talk fondly of Paul, especially Vin Diesel, mentioning how Paul was a true brother. A role Paul was unable to fulfill was Agent 47 in the film adaptation of Hitman, Agent 47, because of his untimely death. Paul's daughter would eventually sue Porsche in September of 2015. Paul's lawyers have alleged that Paul was still awake before the car exploded. The car manufacturer replied and said that Paul accepted the risk of riding their vehicle as soon as he stepped foot inside the car. In 2016, the judge dismissed the case. 2 months later, a judge ruled that the family of Roger Rodas, the one driving the vehicle, should pay. The judge ruled that the family should pay $10 million to make up for the actor's death, even if it was just a little. Meadow Walker expressed her feelings by saying that this sum was not enough to compensate for the life of her father. Meadow Walker also started the Paul Walker Foundation. The charity was aimed to do good acts and to inspire others to do the same. Meadow Walker mentioned that she thought of creating the foundation as she reflected on the passions of her father. She mentioned Paul's interest in ocean conservation and how she wanted to share a piece of that to the world. The foundation has since then made philanthropic efforts, which include giving scholarships to marine biology students. She sued the company on the grounds of the car manufacturer not being monitored enough. Even after Paul's death, it's clear to us how he has left his mark in the film industry and in the hearts of many. Even until now, people are still fighting to give Paul Walker the recognition and justice that he deserves. If you look closely, you'll also see the results of his efforts in philanthropy and how he inspired many, like his daughter, to walk along the same path of aid and care for others. His co-actors and friends, especially Vin Diesel, would always talk fondly about him. All in all, Paul Walker was just a great person. He loved cars, his friends, and his family. He had his ups and downs, and he lived through it all. It was such a shame that he suffered such a fate when clearly there was so much ahead of him. He was a friend to many, a helper to all, a great actor, and a rider to the bone. He lived and died doing what he loved. What an inspiration he is to all that have heard his story. This video is made to honor the life of Paul Walker. If you enjoyed hearing this video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel for more content like this.